Hello everyone and welcome back to day 2 of the Noirvember challenge that we're doing this year. If you're new to this channel, my name is Medium and in here I aim to talk about classic movies and discover and discuss what makes them so special and also the people who made them possible. I'm devoting the whole month of November to hopefully talk about a film noir movie each day. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have one of my favorite film noirs of all time, and beyond that, one of my favorite films, full stop. And that is none other than Double Indemnity. So sit back, relax, because we're going to talk about film noir magic here. And so with no more ado, let's jump into it. There's a quote by Alfred Hitchcock saying, "Since Double Indemnity, the two most important words in motion pictures are Billy and Wilder." And that is just a hint of the extent of the impact that Double Indemnity had upon its release. And furthermore, the movie has persistently and quite rightfully so as one of the best examples of film noir. I'm sure Wilder wasn't aware that he was filming a film noir, but he certainly helped shape the themes, the atmosphere, the archetypes, the characters that made and continue to make this genre so popular and so fascinating. Having said that, this is also a film that beyond any genre, it's a Billy Wilder movie. And one of the greatest assets of this film, as in most of the movies by Wilder, is the script, is the writing. For Double Indemnity, it had not only one fantastic writer, but three. Wilder, who frequently worked with a writing partner in this period, was normally Charles Brackett, who for this movie stepped out of the project, found in this case in Raymond Chandler, who was an accomplished crime fiction writer, the best possible writing partner to adapt a fantastic novella by James Malahan Caine, another prominent figure of crime fiction, and quite frankly, these two writers are my favorites. The relationship between Chandler and Wilder in this movie was far from ideal. They clashed many times, but the results of the movie are outstanding. You can even see for a brief moment Chandler in this movie, who makes a cameo, and it's the only time he appeared in movies. And also James Malahan Caine was very pleased, very happy with the results of their adaptation of his original novella, and that's something that doesn't happen often. So kudos to Chandler and Wilder. The original novel was based on a true crime that took place in 1927 when Ruth Snyder and her lover killed her husband to get double indemnity in her husband's life insurance. And that he was a writer whose work was frequently brought to the screen, and you'll probably be familiar with also Mildred Pierce and The Postman Always Rings Twice, two of his most famous and fantastic work. So as you can see, we're dealing here with heavy powerhouses. Billy Wilder in turn was predominantly known for writing and then directing comedies, and with this movie he raised above all genres as not only a fantastic sharp writer but also as a great filmmaker. In Double Indemnity he used voiceovers. We have a quite Paramount executives, but in any case it's remained one iconic femme fatale of the genre, who is also marvelously dressed by Edith Head, and she plays a ruthless yet super charismatic lady that it's again right up there with the best examples of this very cinematic archetype. So they are razor sharp dialogues full of sexual innuendo, and I think that especially the voiceover that Frank McMurray, who plays Walter Neff, the main character of this movie, has, it is beyond amazing, and I think it's been spoofed many times when they try to recreate the genre in a comedic way. And again, it's especially Fred MacMurray's character with lines like, "I couldn't hear my footsteps," "It was the walk of a dead man," or "How could have I known that murder sometimes smell like honeysuckles." Let me tell you that he plays here, in my opinion, even though he has fantastic co-stars like, again, Barbara Stanwyck or Edward G. Robinson, I think that Fred MacMurray in this movie is outstanding. He was cast against type. In fact, I think all of them are cast against type, because in MacMurray's case, he was predominantly known for playing good guys in light comedies, screwball comedies in the 30s and 40s too. Barbara Stanwyck, in turn, had played dramas, had terrific performances in comedies too, pre-code dramas, Frank Capra dramas, certainly very intense, but she had never played a role like this before. And conversely, Edward G. Robinson, who was known mostly for playing gangsters in the 30s. He plays here quite an agreeable character. In fact, the chemistry he has with Fred in this movie is the sweetest, I think, relationship that we see in Double Indemnity. So I think that they were all again cast against type, and it worked wonders. It's one, I think, of the successes of this movie, aside from the writing. The movie, released in 1944, also the year that, as I said in my previous video, Phantom Lady, Laura were also released. It helped in a way launch the genre, and it became clear that audiences were very keen at that time to watch this type of stories brought to the screen. One of the most captivating things about this film is the fact that crime is associated with relatively ordinary people. So unlike 30s gangster movies where crime was attributed to criminals, in this case, as also happened with Phantom Lady, crime happens to, again, relatively common people. But there is that element that is so fantastic that the genre brought, and is that fatality. We are watching characters that are doomed from the get-go, and there's that element of there's no escaping my fate. And it also presents characters that don't show any regret for the crimes they commit. It's more like an stoic acceptance of what's coming to them, and that's quite fascinating and in turn quite revealing of the era in which these movies were made and released. I particularly love the scene in which the crime is committed. I think that the way it was shot, in which we can only see Barbara Stanwyck's face, the way she acts in that scene is amazing, and it is one of my favorite scenes from the movie. It is also known that Billy Wilder filmed 2 endings for the movie, which I'm obviously not going to reveal, but I'll only say that the one that it's in the actual movie is quite characteristic of Wilder's work. So again, we have many elements that helped shape film noir, but this is also very much a Billy Wilder film. So for those of you who are not that familiar with the genre but do love Wilder's work, you cannot miss Double Indemnity. If you haven't watched it, I highly encourage that you go today, if possible, and find a copy of Double Indemnity and watch it. I promise you, you won't regret this. So that's all for today's video for the 2nd day of November. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Leave in the comments down below if you have watched Double Indemnity. What's your favorite thing about the movie? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sharing the love for classic movies, for sharing the love for film noir, and see you all very soon in my next video. Bye! There's even a reference to the Philadelphia story that I've always found very funny, and it is when Barbara Stanwyck and Fred MacMurray meet, and he says that he's Walter Neff with 2 F's, like Philadelphia, if you know the story. And she says, "What story?" the Philadelphia story. So I've always found that very funny. I don't know what was the gag here, but I'm up for it. I love it.